Hello, everyone. My name is Destiny. I'm 25 years old. I am African American and West Indian.
Hi, my name is Alyssa. I'm a 25-year-old Filipino.
Hi, my name is Evelyn. I'm a 25-year-old Mexican girl.
And welcome to Three Peas and a Podcast.
We all live in Southern California, and we all met about 10 years ago in high school.
We all met in the same art class, and we started becoming friends when we found out we all had similar interests and tastes.
And because we have similar interests and tastes, that's what brought us together. But I think what has kept us together all these years is that we have a dynamic where we can create a safe space for us to have differing opinions on the same topics. So in this podcast, we just wanted to share our conversations with you all.
We will have a different topic we speak on every week, so here's to our podcast.
Today we are talking about our opinions on nerd and geek culture. So are you guys ready?
Yeah, I am ready. What inspired us to do this topic was a lot of people on Twitter have started posting their feelings and their opinions about how nerd culture has kind of changed. A lot of people think, hey, the thing that you get to enjoy and the thing that makes you quirky and unique, I got bullied for liking that stuff. So we wanted to kind of talk about, has the definition of a nerd changed over the years? The difference between a geek and a nerd? What do you guys think?
Definitely, I don't know. I feel like nerds and geeks have definitely gotten more mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely something we're gonna delve in today.
I feel like I currently work at a school with elementary students, and I feel like nerd and geek are not used. Like, it's not a term that I hear.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
So I feel like it's not an insult anymore. Which I think when we were kids, I make it sound like really old. We're not. When we were kids, it was like an insult to be called a nerd or a geek.
And there was always those stereotypical images of like a geek and a nerd. Like think of Degrassi, for example. There's always this scrawny dude with glasses, with tons of books and like a plaid shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
sure. No one wanted to be those people. So now I think even the imagery of what a nerd is has changed.
It really, that's really true.
Evelyn wrote down some questions for us to ask each other, and I think the first one that we should start with is, we already answered. Oh, I guess we haven't. What is a nerd, and do you consider yourself a nerd?
Well, from the article that she wrote down, what's in a nerd, written by Kyle Hill. So to know what the mainstream media in today's day and age think of what a nerd is, we also have to talk about the correlating sister name of a nerd, which is coined as the term geek, and their differences and similarities. So according to BBC Earth, a geek is a fan of their subject, whereas a nerd, they're more achievement oriented. So which one do you guys consider yourself
What
as?
does achievement oriented mean? Like there's goals to what?
I feel like a nerd is like somebody who's like always thought in this, not just like liking certain like memorabilia stuff, but like kind of like an A student, like into math, into engineering. They're gonna go to ITT Tech. That sounds so bad. I'm sorry.
So if you're a geek, you're a dumb bitch. And if you're a nerd,
yes.
I think one of the things when we like researching this topic that we like I learned is that there's a lot of stereotypes. I don't like when I'm calling myself a nerd or a geek, I actually don't really think of these many stereotypes. But I guess society still does, so that's interesting.
I like this right here. It says geek has words like Star Wars, comics, video games, computers, glasses to define it, and then nerd has words like computer, engineering, mathematics, programming, hacking, etc.
Yep.
Well, then I've been using the word nerd wrong because apparently I'm not a fucking nerd.
In my head, I thought the terms were switched. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Oh, they do correlate a lot. So.
So, do you consider your guys a nerd? Do you consider yourself, or I guess a geek, or both?
I'm a geek, I guess. Yeah, a geek.
I feel like I'm a geek.
I feel like that's. I don't know. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if someone like. Would you think someone that you know would come up and be like, if they were to describe you, they'd be like, yeah, Destiny's a geek. Like, do you think that's like the first thing they
No,
would
but
say?
see, like a geek is such like an 80s term. Like, no one uses geek anymore. So I think nerd kind of encompasses everything now.
Yeah.
But I also think you can be a nerd for a specific subject. Like, we're a nerd for art and like entertainment and stuff because we have a lot of expertise about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I found another quote which says like nerds, quote, "Science provides a reliable way to think about the most astonishing questions in the universe and reveals the indescribable wonder in the answers it uncovers. The tip of the iceberg they may be. Nerds and geeks are drawn to this way of knowing, the way of interrogating the universe by the meticulous, curious, and tinkering nature that unites them." So basically, nerds can also just be anybody who's interested in like science or space or like something.
Okay, then I am a nerd.
Yeah, exactly. Something that's not just like a surface level.
Okay.
That's interesting because
That
I
makes
feel
more
like if
sense.
someone were to describe me, that is not a word they would use, and I don't know if I would use. I don't know. I think I would personally because I know myself, but I feel like my friends and family would not. Because again,
Yeah.
the term has changed so dramatically that I think they're like, well, no, she's not like a nerd. She's not a nerdy person, but I like nerdy things.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much where the generation is now. We're not nerds, we're not those people, but we enjoy the same things that they enjoy.
Exactly.
But we're like the cool version.
Exactly.
It's like that.
That's exactly
Okay.
what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. We also have a question that delves into that. So from first glance, do you think someone would consider yourself a nerd? Why or why not?
I actually had this conversation in me and my friend were talking about Voltron, and if you know what Voltron is, like the words are very like you can tell it's like really nerdy from the words and stuff like that. But me and her were like super dressed up, not like quote unquote what nerdy is. We had a full face of makeup, and I stopped our conversation. I was like, do you think anyone from far away would think that we're talking about what we're talking about? And she said no.
Mm-mm.
So I feel like from the way I dress, depending, I say that as I have a Sailor Moon shirt on, but I feel like from the way I dress in certain times, like if I was in a club, you'd be like, that's a bitch right there, she getting down. But if I was like in my PJs with a Sailor Moon shirt, you'd be like, yeah, she's a nerd.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Just from what people have told me, like no one ever thinks that I'm a nerd. No one ever thinks that I like geeky, like alternative stuff. So from first glance, like no one ever thinks that I'm into this kind of stuff. And it's funny that you mentioned Voltron because I did an internship and I used to live in a dorm, and there was, I think it was WonderCon was going on at the same time, and I got on the elevator with someone who lived on my floor.
Yeah.
And they were with their friend, and their friend was dressed as Lance from Voltron. But they didn't know that I was like into Voltron and stuff. So we were just talking like casually, and I was like, "Oh, you guys are going to the convention or whatever?" And they were like, "Yeah." So then I get off and I go to my floor, and then as I'm like walking away, I was like, "It was nice seeing you, Lance." And they start like freaking out because they didn't think that I knew he was dressed up.
Yeah.
Because Lance is just in like a jacket and like a shirt.
Yeah.
So
were you just like
they
in your
didn't think.
regular clothes?
Yeah, I think I was coming off of work, so I was in like a uniform. But yeah, most people don't assume that I'm a nerd because again, we've been socially conditioned to see a nerd as one type of thing. So
how about you, Evelyn?
I don't know. I don't think people would like. Yeah, no, people don't. When they see me, they always told me they think I was like really preppy or girly. It's not until they like.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so like when I was in high school, like all my cousins live far away, so when they would actually come into my room, they're like, "Oh, I didn't really know you liked anime, all this stuff." And literally my room used to be like filled with like a bunch of anime posters and like manga. So I feel like it was a big like 180 to them. So I feel
now it's all K-pop stuff.
Yeah. It's mostly K-pop stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, I have there's some comics in there. I'm like, there's some comics.
I haven't forgotten my past.
Yeah. Oh, but what's it called? Going back to, I guess, okay, so, like Alyssa said, since the term has changed so much, I guess before, if you like thought about like things that weren't surface level, you were considered a nerd. Because we do talk a lot about space and like time travel and like the future. And I don't know if that's like a common thing within people. Actually, no, I've talked to so many people where they don't talk about that stuff. So I'm like, is that considered geeky, nerdy? I'm not sure.
That's a good point. I don't think I've ever run into. There's like few people, and there's usually people like I like the people who will like jump into the conversation with you and be like, "Oh my God, yeah, like I saw a ghost the other day." And then there are some people who are just like, "Oh, that's interesting," you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we are nerds and geeks. But
Hmm.
I mean, it is a positive term these days. So it's not bad to be a
Yeah.
nerd or geek these days.
We are having this conversation as three people who, before COVID, constantly went to conventions, constantly cosplayed.
true.
So it's kind of funny.
But even going to conventions and stuff like that has changed.
Yeah.
Because that also used to be like a nerdy, geeky thing.
That's
Like I
so
remember
true.
I was talking to my dad, and it was like Comic-Con weekend, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I used to pop in and go to Comic-Con or whatever." And that was back when you could literally walk up to the doors and get a ticket to go in, because it was that small of a convention, and now it's gotten so big. And I think it's because they've added like more mainstream things. Like when Twilight was out,
Oh my God.
all of the tickets would sell out because these people just wanted a glimpse at the Twilight cast. So
For else. Also, when you walk into Hot Topic or any other
I
stores,
know.
you find all the
Hot Topic makes me so sad.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Okay.
People used to be scared to go into Hot Topic. Like they'd be like, "Oh, I like your shirt. Where'd you get it at Hot Topic?" You go in there by yourself. Like I literally had someone say that to me, and I was like, "Yeah."
I remember Destiny and I went through a hardcore emo phase in high school. Scene phase. So yeah, now when I walk past Hot Topic, I'm like, you're not the same. You're not the same bitch I used to know. And it kind of sucks because there's no place to buy alternative clothes anymore.
No,
that's true.
That's mainstream at least. But yeah, so I guess, what does that say about nerd culture if like things like Spencer's and Hot Topic now sells it in the front window?
So would you say it's no longer a separate category? Like think of it like Mean Girls. You know, you have the unfriendly black hotties, you have the art weirdos, you have the goth people, you have the band people. Is there still a table for nerds and geeks?
100%.
If everyone at those tables also likes the same thing.
Yes.
What makes
I think
separate?
Yes, just because I think this is where the line is drawn, is that a lot of people like anime, and I'm not one to gatekeep anime. I'm not. So a lot of people like those things, but I don't think anybody else who doesn't label themselves nerds like the way we do have gotten as far as have we gotten. Like we go to conventions, we cosplay as them, we read the mangas, we delve into it. We have like theories about, I think this happened because of
the
that.
But there's
the fan fiction, the yaoi. There's just things that I'm like, you're not a real, I don't want to say you're not a real nerd, but you're not like that stereotype, because there's people who just watch it. Like, I watch Grey's Anatomy, but I don't know any, I'm not into it.
Yeah,
there's people who watch anime, but they're not into it the way that, I feel like we are.
That's like me with K-pop. Like I have K-pop on my iPod, but I don't know any of their names. I don't know their personality types. I don't know any of that. But if it's a good song, I'm gonna download it. That's as far as it goes.
So that's my theory on it.
Yeah, that makes a good point. I liked the question that you wrote down. When did you start noticing your interests were different from others and were labeled as geeky and nerdy? And also, do you feel like this was something your race/ethnicity was open to or accepting of? I think that's a huge one, especially since we're all people of color. I think we can all have different experiences about that.
For me personally, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it wasn't a thing. Like, one, nobody knew about it, and then two, it was just seen as weird. Like, they were like, what's a convention? Why are you going to a convention? Why are you dressing up? It was like all questions I always got. And then bringing anime or stuff like that to someone who is Hispanic, it was always like, why would you be interested in a Japanese culture? Like, you don't know what they talk about, you don't understand what they're saying. So I don't know, for me, for the longest time, I feel like Hispanic culture is very not accepting of it. So I actually had to hide, I felt like I had to hide some nerdy stuff. So mangas and stuff like that for the longest time, I'm like, okay, nobody's gonna know about this unless they talk about it, and I'll pull it out.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Yeah, for real. That's exactly the same way. Like growing up black, if you didn't engage in like black things, you were whitewashed and you were like you weren't proud of your own culture and you
Mm-hmm.
were just kind of like the outsider. So I got teased and bullied a lot for liking like one of the biggest changes for me that I noticed was there's this meme now where it's like, oh, black people like Paramore, whereas like growing up I used to get bullied for listening to Paramore. So that's like a huge shift, and I think now because I'm seeing like a lot of black people like Miles J, for example, they're kind of breaking that barrier of like I can still be black and
Yeah.
like other things. I can still be alternative and be black. So I think our community now is being more open to it, but definitely growing up, I was like the super weird one at the family barbecue.
They're like, oh my gosh, she has red and black hair.
Yeah, like okay.
I feel like so I'm Asian, and I think that's a huge difference because it was totally normal in our household. My brothers watched Dragon Ball Z. They drew it. They had stuff. They had like toys and stuff of it. They had posters of it, and it wasn't weird. Like everyone would go into the room and be like, "That's so dope!" Like, "Oh my god!" So then when I was watching Sailor Moon, like my parents had no problem buying me Sailor Moon stuff or buying me Pokemon or like Hello Kitty. Like I had a Hello Kitty birthday. Like it was not weird
Oh, that's
at all.
interesting.
Aw,
Yeah,
happy
it was
birthday.
never a thing for us because I don't know. I'm not Japanese. Like I'm Filipino, but I think because we're an Asian culture, like watching things that is deemed Asian wasn't weird because it's like yeah, it's like I'm like yeah, it was never a problem. And when I started cosplaying, that was like super. My parents were like, "That's really cool." Like I don't have the guts to do that, but that's really cool. I never got any pushback in my family whatsoever.
It was more so like my family wasn't accepting of the way that I am until I got older and they realized it wasn't a phase. Like it used to just be like it went from like this weird thing that she does or like her being like super like into goth like alternative things, and then I wasn't growing out of it, so then they kind of just accepted it and it became like, oh, you're just really creative, you know, like
oh, I wasn't called that when I was younger though.
Right, I'm just like okay.
Dude, okay, so for me I feel like it was when it started getting cooler. That's when people started when other people start talking about it, then your parents are like, okay, so it's not just my child, it's like everybody else too. So I think that's
so she was cool before it was cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it just stems from your parents don't want you to be bullied and they don't want you to be like the outsider. So I think once they realize like, oh, other people like this, she has a community, so she's not going to be the outsider. I think that's where everyone's parents like their concern stems from.
I mean, I feel like America's still barely like opening their view into other cultures, but we're getting there. Slowly but surely.
You know what I think did a big thing for nerd culture is the Avengers movies.
It did. Yeah. Yes.
That thing blew up because I remember us going to like, I want to say like the first or the second movie, maybe Thor. I don't know. I don't remember. We went to one. It was like not packed. We didn't wait in line. We didn't have to buy the tickets beforehand. Yeah. And now it's like, oh God, did you guys get the tickets? No. Oh crap. We can't watch it this week. Yeah. Like, we lost it. Yeah. So I feel like because they modernized it to the point where like everyone loves these, people started getting into comics, people started looking into other things, and it wasn't as weird anymore.
Yeah, as soon as Suicide Squad dropped, I went to Barnes and Noble and they had like all of the Harley Quinn stuff like in the front. They had all of it laid out because people were coming in to get them, which I think it's great. I wasn't like, oh my God, I had Harley Quinn comics before, it was cool. I was just like, great, now I don't have to go into the aisle to grab this. You know, like it's not. I'm not really someone that's like bitter about it.
I'm not either because I finally get to get things. I don't have to like go on Amazon and wait like a month to get it. I'm like, oh, I can just go to the mall and it's probably there.
You know, it's funny. Barnes and Noble, you would think that before they would have had like comics and manga, but they didn't until now.
They had an aisle.
They had an aisle, but it wasn't that big. It was just like the front.
It was just an aisle in the back. Like, go over there.
Yeah, exactly. Be shunned.
But I do think that the Marvel Universe definitely got more people into nerdy things, and it made being a nerd more like a social thing. Yeah, that's
I
true.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's kind of frustrating. Especially because the earlier, like Blade and X-Men and Daredevil and Elektra, like those were cinema movies that didn't really do very well.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess it is the Avengers formula that got people like, oh, now this is cool. I'm gonna go watch this.
Yeah, and then Disney added them. That's
Yeah.
it.
No, Alyssa said it. Disney bought Marvel and they bought
They put that
different
Disney
assets of
formula.
Fox. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they just figured out a way to, and obviously Disney owns everything, so it's in your face
all the
24/7.
time.
But
Yeah.
because when they casted Loki, I think, yeah, when they casted Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston, both of them were
They
actors
weren't.
that people
Yeah,
didn't
we're
know.
not. Mm-mm.
And when they casted Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, a lot of people thought it was gonna flop because he was coming back into the Hollywood scene after
Yeah.
like all the drug abuse and like being in jail and stuff. So people didn't even think it was gonna work, but it did.
I think also they didn't push it as this is a superhero movie. This is from a comic. They push it
Right.
as this is Iron Man. It's a person, you need to watch it to understand.
That's
Like
true.
you don't have to watch. There's some shows like you have to read or watch the book to even understand it. But
Mm-hmm.
as someone like I was not into comics until I started watching Marvel stuff, except for Spider-Man. When I watched Iron Man, I sat there and I understood it. It was digestible and I got it and I was like, oh, he's dope. I didn't need to read the comics or know anything about him to like him. But there's certain, I think in the past, like I watched Daredevil and Elektra. I did not like them. I was like, I don't get them. I don't get it. So I think they figured out like, we need to put this out as this is this person, not this is a comics story.
That's true. Because even the style has changed. Like back then, Nostalgia Critic does a lot of reviews on old comic book movies, and he says like 90s comic book movies were specifically designed to like put the comic on the screen. So like just the editing of it, like the cheesiness of it was supposed to resemble a comic, whereas now it's like
it's a movie.
Yeah. That's really interesting. So as a female, do you think there's bigger challenges and stereotypes to being accepted into nerd and geek culture?
I was gonna scream, but I forgot I'm on like recording. And I was like, I'm not gonna blow out anyone's ears right now.
What do you think, Alyssa?
Yeah, what the
Absolutely.
fuck? I don't get it. Why do we have such a hard time? And the nerds hate us. They think we don't exist. We have to like prove to them that we exist.
Yeah.
But you want a nerdy, geeky girlfriend. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, how do you want someone to enjoy this with? But all of the people who say, yeah, I enjoy that, you're just like, no, not you. It's like, what? Okay.
You always have to like know a certain amount of stuff too. Like it can't be like the bare minimum. It has to be like an encyclopedia, like textbook.
Oh, you like comics? Name every single X-Men character in the universe. It's like, okay.
I guess it's some. I don't know. I don't know why it's like that for girls.
Yeah, because you don't do this with your guys. Like I've never seen a guy get quizzed on any of the shit that they know. Like.
I don't know. I've seen it a lot in conventions too. Like I'm scared to cosplay certain people if I don't know anything. Like if I don't know everything about them, I won't cosplay them because I'm scared someone's gonna come up to me and be like, "Well, in episode blah, she did that. So why are you wearing this?" And be like, "I don't fucking know. I just like the way she looked."
Yeah, that's true. I think it stems from again that stereotype of like being a geek and a nerd is undesirable because that's how those kids were portrayed in like every type of media. Like no girl liked the geeky dude. So I feel like real super nerdy girls don't want to allow girls to come into their community because they don't feel like they're socially accepted by girls. Like
I also feel like
trying to make sense.
It's like I feel like a lot of people who are like resentful feel like it's a bandwagon thing. So like a bandwagon hop. And so they probably are like, well, she doesn't seem like she'll like nerdy or geeky stuff. Yeah. So I'm just going to quiz her.
You're just trying to seem cool.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's part of it.
But at the same time, it's not cool. Like, it's still not like nerdy culture has gotten bigger, but if I like I don't know, like in certain settings, like if I start talking about freaking comics and this person did that, it's still kind of like, oh, you're like
Oh, you're
super
like
into,
into it.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, oh, you don't just
Like, I
watch the
wouldn't bring that shit
movies.
up at work. I don't think anyone
Yeah.
at my work would know that I'm into this stuff because
So
it's
it's like,
not appropriate.
right. So it's like, I don't think someone would purposely try to like gain brownie points for being a nerd. Like, I
Maybe
don't,
because like comic and gaming and all that was very like the demographic was mostly male for like a long time
or they
because
wanted it to be, because even
I think the
statistically,
females were quiet.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
why they think, yeah. So I think like we were quiet because we didn't want to say anything, we didn't want to stick out. And then when we started voicing it because we noticed like, oh, there is like a demographic of girls
yeah.
who read it, that's when they got confused. They're like, but it's only been us for this long. It's like, because we were scared of you.
Yeah, that's true. Because it's always been like 50%. I think it's like 51% is female.
Yeah.
But that
But
makes
they
a
were
lot of
quiet.
sense.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of like nerd culture was geared just to the white race too, like nerdy
Mm-hmm.
people. White. So that's why it was even harder if you were like a minority and trying to be nerdy. People
Yeah.
would be like, I don't know, you already have a visual in your head, like a geeky
Mm-hmm.
white guy with glasses, suspenders, pens.
Yeah, like the Peter Parker.
Yeah, exactly. That's a
Mm-hmm.
really good reference. And then look what happened. They have 3 movies, 4, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like more than 4.
Okay, but the Peter Parker right now doesn't resemble Toby. What is it? Toby Maguire. The
Tobey Maguire's Peter.
yeah. They don't resemble like right now. The Peter Parker that we have now seems like a really cool kid.
Yeah.
The other one was very socially awkward, and I was like, I relate.
Yeah, I watched a lot of movie reviews where people say like the reason why they cling to the Tobey Maguire one is obviously because of the nostalgia and he was the first one. But they also liked how he was legit a nerdy outsider. But then when he gets more confident when he becomes Spider-Man. So a lot of people are just like, we don't like what's the dude that was Amazing Spider-Man?
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, they're like he's way too cocky and confident when he's Peter. So then when he becomes Spider-Man, there's no change.
Yeah.
So a lot of people liked, a nerdy Peter Parker.
That's interesting. But who do you guys like better? Do you guys care or not?
I have so many feelings about Spider-Man, but I don't.
I know, that's a different podcast.
That's a different podcast.
Alyssa's gonna have a solo podcast of just
me talking the whole time. I'll pull out my comics and everything. Be like, in this one, you see.
Okay, but us just getting real like riled up about this and talking about it. It kind of like does show that we are very nerdy or geeky.
Yeah.
I don't.
Sure.
Yeah. Have you guys had instances where you got gatekeeped, like, because you're a female? And they were like, no, there's no way you like this.
Oh, yeah. Fucking League of Legends. Big time.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
that's just,
like, League of Legends community is already, like, super fucking shitty, but if you're a girl, it's, like, even more of, like, just little turds that just don't...
I feel like gaming in general. Gaming is really hard for girls. Yeah.
But the stupid thing is that immediately when they find out that you are a girl, you're like automatically sexualized. You can't just be playing the game. It's like, oh, there's a girl, we're going to flirt with her. We're going to do whatever. Or we're going to go easy on her because she's a girl.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't even say that they're a girl when they're playing online.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of instances. I think with like in my family, I feel like it's happened where I would be like, trying to be like, oh yeah, in this anime this happened, or in this and this, and they'd be like, no, that didn't happen, this and this happened, and I'm like, I was into this before you even knew you were born. I'm like, before you even knew what anime was. So I don't know if that's just because I don't know if that's because I'm a girl or if it's anything else, but I feel like a huge part is because I'm a girl. Like, people think you wouldn't be as into it. So there's always that questioning.
Mine is it's anime, because I didn't start watching newer animes until like I was 18. So I'm like late to the game type of thing. But I like shoujo animes, being younger. I like the slice of life. I like the romance. Like there's nothing paranormal that is happening. No one has superpowers. So I think I was into anime, but I never told anyone because when I did, they're like, "Oh, have you seen?" And it's like all the flagship shonen, like shonen ones. I'm like, no, but I watch like Fruit Basket.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't like that you can't be a nerd if it's like a quote unquote feminine thing. Like, oh, you don't like anime because you only watch the romance one. I'm like, it's still fucking anime.
Yeah.
It's still anime. It's still a manga that I bought and I read. You know what I mean? So that's what always bothers me. Like every time people are like, oh, you like anime? What's your favorite anime? And I'm like, if I tell you it's Blue Spring Ride, you're gonna be like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, they fell in love. Like, what the hell? So it's kind of it's annoying because I feel like as a female, we have to try extra hard because we can't just like what we like.
Yeah.
Because no guy's getting shit for just liking My Hero.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, so you don't get shit for watching My Hero, but like I get shit for if I watch My Hero and something else type of thing.
I also feel like when somebody says like it's a guy and they say like they like My Hero, people would take him more like credible than the girl.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't, like you said, they wouldn't quiz him before like us. But then like there's instances where a girl probably could know way more than the guy. So it's just like those gender stereotypes.
And that's why I really like the pink pastel aesthetic when it comes to like gaming stuff.
Yeah.
Because I like that it's super feminine and it just pisses off a lot of those little pissy boys that are just like, oh, you have headphones that are pink and your gaming chair is pink and your PC is pink. Like they just hate it. So I like love that
you
aesthetic.
Have cat ears.
Yeah.
You're supposed to shield with cat ears.
You can't hear with those. Yeah. So I like love those types of aesthetics.
So yeah, I'm so happy like there are girls more like open to it too. Like or like on YouTube. Like
yeah, but even those girls, like I feel bad because they're like, oh, they only have followers because they show their tits or they do this, and I'm like, they're a female body. If her boobs are in the shot, it's because she's a girl.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like, oh my god, he's an ear streamer. I can see his ears. Like no one fucking says shit. Like it's just part of your body, and I hate that all these girls are getting hate because they are a female. Like
exactly, and it's just like, oh, well, people only follow her because she's cute or people want to date her or whatever. And it's kind of like now women are using that to their advantage and people are like hating them for it. And it's like, well, if I just stream as myself, you're going to say I'm doing it for the clout. So I might as well just freaking capitalize on what is already going to be like
capitalized on.
Exactly. So if I'm a cute girl, then I'm a cute girl. I got nice tits, I'm going to show them because either that's what you're watching for or that's what you're going to think people are watching me for. So I'm going to fucking get my bag.
Yeah, exactly.
And people don't like that. So it's just like, I don't get it.
Like, I hate when they're called titty streamers. I'm like, they are streaming. I'm pretty sure they could fucking rock your shit if you played a game with them. Like, I'm not going to stand here and hear this blasphemy about my girls.
Okay, well, but that just makes me think, is there like a certain appearance that girls have to have that people will take them credible? Or do you think girls are just always going to be like pushed down?
I feel like you can be decked out in all of the merch possible and they will still say that you're not a real nerd.
Wow.
Yeah. Or like, it doesn't matter. That's the thing. It doesn't matter. You can come on with like sweatpants and like a t-shirt and you'll get judged for that. But then if you come on with a tube top and makeup with your hair curled, you're gonna get shit for that. You know what I mean?
That's true.
There's instances where like creators of a certain something, I forgot what the hell it is. If you guys know what it is, please help me. They're like, do you even know? And she's like, I'm literally the creator of this. Like there's so many instances where that has happened. And it's like, you don't even trust the person who made it because she is a female.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
We should just dress up as guys or something.
I know.
Go on Twitch and dress up as a guy and be like, I'm streaming. I'm not a girl.
Yeah. So
I don't like pink.
This like gatekeeping attitude is getting better, but it is still prominent.
That's why I don't like when people are like, I like anime now. I try really hard not to be like, No, you don't. Because I'm like, I know exactly how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and watch. Especially if it's like, oh, they just watched like a volleyball anime. Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking enjoy your volleyball anime. Hell yeah.
Are there any other questions that you guys wanted to go over?
Things you like about the nerd community and things you don't like.
Ooh.
Besides gatekeeping, because we just talked about gatekeeping.
Yeah. Well, I really like the community, that aspect that it has of it, especially because usually geeky or like nerdy people, we are more of the like introverted type. So when you meet people at conventions or like gatherings or something, you automatically know that you have something in common with them. Like if you're both cosplaying the same character or you're both like wearing the same shirt or whatever, like that's automatically a conversation starter. So it's easier to socialize or like find people. So I like that aspect of it a lot.
Is there something you don't like?
We already talked about gatekeeping. I guess just elitism.
Oh yeah, that's for sure a thing.
Yeah, where it's just like I'm better than you at something, or I know more than you at this, so you're not allowed to like it or whatever. That's always annoying because at the end of the day, like we're also geeks and nerds. Like, yes, this community is getting bigger, but on the totem pole of society, we are still the losers. We're running around. We're literally running around in wigs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just weird. It's just weird when people take themselves like that seriously. Because then, well, we could probably do like a whole nother podcast on this, but the fact that nerd culture is being capitalized on so much, there are people who just do it because like, oh, I got hired by this booth to dress as this character to promote this movie or whatever. So there are people who aren't nerds who do nerd stuff just because it's like I'm trying to get a paycheck. So I guess that's where the elitism comes in, because people are getting paid to do this now, so they feel like if your quality of work does not match theirs, why are you doing it? I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So.
What about you, Evelyn?
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of more positives than negatives, so that's a really good thing. I feel like what attracted me first was there's so much like flashy stuff. So a lot of the art community is part of the nerd community too. So that's pretty cool too. The stories, the fantasies, the people, I feel like the people, like there's like a double-edged sword right there where like you meet some of the people and because they're already open to certain things, when you tell them other things, they sometimes tend to be more open. Like if your humor, a lot of the nerds I've met, their humors are kind of the same. So if they're like, oh well, I make fun of memes, they'll be like, oh yeah, this meme.
Yeah.
Or I'll tell them like a certain thing. I don't know. I want to say the LGBT community is more accepting in the nerd community too.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
because you're already open minded to something that was like once criticized, people
Yeah.
are more willing to be open. So that's something I really like too.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, it is.
Things I don't like. So going back to that, there are some people that aren't accepting, like we talked about before, for the, like Destiny said, the elitism and also like the over infatuation. So if you do like certain other things, people will be like, okay, so you like sports too? We're not talking about sports. We're just talking about nerd things. Like it's I've had instances where I'm kind of like a mesh of like nerd stuff but also mainstream stuff. So if I talk about other things, people are just like, well, we're just talking about comics and nerds and geek stuff. Like that's not really, you're not really part of like this conversation or this group. And it
so you feel ostracized.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like in college there was a lot of like nerd and geek, like not nerd, like anime clubs. But like every time I went there, I didn't feel like I was always accepted. And I wonder if that was like because my knowledge wasn't up to par or because like I didn't like seem like I would like that stuff. I don't know. That was always just so weird to me.
Yeah, I think the knowledge point is a big one. I think there are some people who expect you to know like every single character and the concept art for this one and the soundtrack for that one. And if you don't know it, then it's just kind of like, oh, they're not really going to be so enthusiastic to interact with you. Mhm.
I think I agree with both of you guys on like what I like about the nerd community. I think I really
Yeah,
like
music.
back in the heydays of Tumblr and stuff.
Mhm.
I guess now it's Twitter, where everyone would watch like an anime together, and then you would see everyone talking about it like on the feed.
Mhm.
I don't really see that anymore, just because I try staying off of Twitter because Twitter's fucking crazy. But I think I like that. I like listening to people's like theories and like breaking down what they is. What they is, what they are,
What they is,
what they is, what they are. Like, I think that's why I like convention panels, because I like it when someone's headcanon becomes like that. You're right. That's exactly, you guys hit it in the nail of the head. I'm like, oh my, that shit's dope. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You guys thought about it. Like, I really like that. Like, I think it's super interesting, and it bums me out when like people don't want to talk into that. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just read it online.
Yeah. I see what you mean. But you're also not going to bully someone because they don't want to dive in as deep as you do.
Exactly.
You'll just find somewhere else
Just
with people who want to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think a big part of nerd culture is fandoms. So I want to ask. Yeah, I know. Okay, so do you think that you can be like a nerd or a geek and not be a part of the fandom?
I am not part of a single fandom.
I feel like.
And what do you have to do to be a part of the fandom?
Oof. I
feel like, okay, this is how I see it. In fandoms, there's like accounts where you're like, I know this bitch is gonna talk about this episode. I can't wait to see what she posts. They're always the first ones to come up with something. Like, this is the headcanon, this is what's happening, I've dissected this. Or they make edits, or they make a lot of fan art about like that one thing. So it's like these people that you go to because you know they're gonna post that specific anime, manga, whatever they're talking about. That's what I think being a part of a fandom is.
Yeah.
I feel like with us three, we are a part of that. We see it from the outside, but we don't step in and say anything.
Yeah.
So that's how I think we're not in a fandom, because I ain't that messy.
No, yeah, we're like fandom adjacent. That's a good way to put it.
Like at lunch, we're at the table next to them, so we hear everything, but we ain't participating.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Because I think over time, fandoms have so I think fandoms now, they've just started to project so much of themselves onto the media they're consuming that if you disagree with it, or if you disagree with the media itself or what someone says about it, it's a personal attack on you. So I think that's where fandoms have gone now, whereas back then it used to just be like, you enjoy Voltron, I like Voltron too, but now it's just like, it's gotten to the point where like you can't say anything negative about the fandom, or if you disagree with the people who are making the thing that you are consuming, it's specifically like you have the right to tell them, sorry, professional of however many years, I don't like the way you're doing this. And it's just kind of like the line between that has just been blurred.
For reals.
I think because of social media, a lot of creators are on social media and they see it, and I think they're like, well, if I change it, then all of my fans will love it. And I think that's, if no one's listening to this, but if you are hearing this, don't fucking do that. If you have a creation in your head, if you have a story, you stick to that story. Don't listen to fucking a 15-year-old that has thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they're 15. They didn't go to school and have your experience. We don't know what we're saying.
And that's why it pisses me off when people try to belittle creators and writers, because like you're talking to a professional, you know what I mean? So like you can disagree with something. Like I don't, like a lot of people disagree with the way like Voltron went or Korra went, and you're allowed to have those opinions, but to attack the person who made it, like it just doesn't make sense.
I also
but again, it's like, go ahead.
I also feel like it was once nice to be part of a fandom. So so you could put like theories, questions, like I ship this person with this person. But I feel like fandoms now make it too deep, and it's not that deep. Like we're all like literally we're all nerds. We're all dressed up. We're on the convention. Like we're not already fitting the stereotypes. So for somebody else to come in,
it's like, no, you ship that girl with that guy. that's because you're homophobic. She's gay. You're supposed to ship her with that girl. And it's like, bro.
She ain't real. Like, she ain't real. She's not here. Like,
yeah, it's like, okay.
That's what I always tell people. Like, at the end of the day, they're not real characters. We're like all just trying to enjoy something that is like in the arts.
And you're
or
attacking
something.
a real person. That's where I have a
Exactly.
problem. Like, I hear so many people saying, like, I can't even enjoy this thing anymore because of the amount of hate that the fandom has brought to this thing, that I no longer associate it with good memories. And that is so fucked up to me.
It's so true. Like, I do not go back and watch Voltron. I get like war flashbacks.
Yeah.
I'm like, I cannot watch this because all three of us have been in a panel where we literally saw it live. Mm-hmm. Some girl attacking the creator. And I was just like, wow, if hell? I was not a good person, I would have gone up there and fucking
ripped that mic out of her hand.
I was like, dude, no fucking way. Like, these people are, first of all, they've been doing this shit for years. And like, it's their creation. If you think you can make something better, go fucking try. Go try. I dare you.
Exactly.
I feel like people see a character and they're like, I am that character. Right. And I'm like, you need to stop doing that. Yeah. It's okay to have representation. I think it's beautiful when you have representation. Yeah. There's a difference being, I really like this character because they look like me, versus I am this character.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
You can see yourself in another character. That's beautiful. But to the point where it's like you're attacking someone else, like, that's where I just can't. I can't vibe with that.
Nope, I can't. I don't understand it.
I feel like that also gives like nerds like another like negative stereotype too. Like,
yeah, for real.
Like someone who...
I don't think that's a stereotype though. That does happen.
That
like,
does happen.
Not for everybody, but like that is a huge thing in nerd community where I get embarrassed by. I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, because it's just like, oh Jesus, like it's not that deep. Like I get it. This character means so much to you, but it's really not that deep. And also they will tend to inflate one thing to mean like everything. Like, because thinking back to the Voltron panel, the girl had like a freaking dissertation and was just reading off of it. Like, and she was literally saying like, in episode 3 of season 5, Lance does this, and I don't think he should be treated like that. And Lance, everyone keeps like bullying Lance and da-da-da-da-da. And like the creator was just like, what are you talking about? Like, I think the voice actor of Lance was just like, Lance became like the Red Lion and he like protected Allura. So I don't personally agree with you. And and then the creator had to say like, that's just playful banter. Like, as much as I respect like my co-writer, I still make fun of her sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, they just take like one aspect of something and they'll inflate it to mean like disastrous connotations.
Dude, I would have been so mad. I would have been like, I don't remember half of the stuff I wrote. So like, why are you telling me all this back?
Yeah, do you realize we've been working on this for years?
Yeah.
Like but she was saying that as if she didn't write it. I'm like, she wrote it.
Yeah.
She wrote that. Why are you telling her what she wrote? She wrote it.
And I think internet culture does not reflect real life, because when she posted that on Twitter, people were like, oh my God, yes, queen, like you showed them, da-da-da-da. But in that room with hundreds of people, we were booing at this girl. We were yelling at her.
We're like, get her off the mic. Get her off the mic.
She was being
and everyone's all like, look at everyone clapping. I'm like, clapping because she got the fuck off.
Right. Like, that was not the reality of the situation. Like, I saw people praising her on Twitter and I literally like quote tweeted it. Like, do not congratulate this girl, because I was in that room and it was not cool what she did. Like, people were just like, this was the last Voltron panel and she wasted the rest of the Q&A time. There's a line of people behind them that just want to interact with the cast, and she completely wasted everyone's time. Like, that's not cool.
And one of the voice actors who voices Keith, he also voices Finn from Adventure Time. He just came from Adventure Time's panel with a giant smile, sat down, and you could see it on his face. He was like, why the fuck am I here? Right. Not Keith. He voices Lance. Sorry.
And it was the 10th anniversary of Adventure Time too. And he was still like, I'm going to make it to both panels. But you could tell he was like, I should have stayed my ass in the
Adventure Time. Yeah, he was like, fuck these people. I'm sorry that I'm not dating Keith. Like, God, what the hell?
Like, oh, geez, like that. Like, again, people were just projecting so much onto these characters to the point where it was just, again, I feel like we can make a whole nother
segment,
a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
Which we should, because I think that's a really interesting topic of like, where do you draw the line between appreciating seeing yourself represented and projecting?
That's true. That's very true.
Okay, we'll write that down. I like this question that I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it's Evelyn or Destiny.
Where is it?
Do you think Western society is more open to nerd geek culture than from 5-10 years ago compared to now, or is it just a bandwagon trend? Do you think it's gonna end eventually?
Oh.
Or is this like this is pop culture now?
I think it'll end because I think everything goes in cycles.
Yeah.
So I think we're just in the cycle of like nerd things are like at its peak, and then I think it'll die down after a couple of decades, especially now because Marvel's in their second wave of the cinematic universe, and I'm not that hyped about it. Like when the first Iron Man dropped in what's his name with the eye patch, I'm forgetting his name.
Nick Fury?
Yes, he walked out and he was like, "You're not the only superhero in the universe." Like I was in the audience like, "Holy shit, they're about to do the Avengers." And that's 10 years of watching this grow, you know what I mean? So it's like that same hype is not there for me at least. So I think it is gonna kind of it's
Like,
at its peak right now, and then it's gonna go down.
Take a dip.
Yeah.
How about you, Evelyn?
I feel like that too. I actually was thinking, I'm like, maybe it'll last, but it all goes back to like the Marvel movies. Like they're the ones that hyped it up, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're the ones that also like died it down. Like besides Marvel, what other thing is in trend? Like I can't think. Gaming.
Yeah.
I feel like gaming is. I feel like yes, with Marvel it's gonna go away. I feel like gaming, that shit's gonna go up. I just see it going up and up. Like EA Games is like, people are debating whether or not it should be an Olympic sport. Like that shit's, it's getting like to the point where people can, that's a job now. Like you should just be a gamer.
True. Yeah. I think it has the money making aspect. It generates billions of dollars, so people are going to invest in it more. And it's also connected to technological advances like what's it called? Augmented reality and stuff like that. That's
and
also
the graphics alone.
Oh yeah.
Right. So that's true. Yeah.
And I feel
like the gaming is going up.
I feel like everyone in their life has also like picked up a game controller, whether they like it or not. So it's like something everybody can relate to.
Yeah.
And then I feel like anime is on a rise right now. I've seen people I've never seen talk about anime, and I think it's because My Hero is basically the new Marvel. It's exactly the same concept, and it's easily digestible. And from what I heard the creators saying, like they want to make it as long as Naruto. Like if My Hero becomes the new Marvel, then that shit's just gonna go up too.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like debating whether or not it's gonna be a bandwagon, because I'm like, I don't know, something else always comes along that like is similar. True. Yeah.
It's like Attack on Titan. That was like the first anime where I noticed people who didn't watch anime or interested in, they've seen that one. Like there's always that one that's like, oh, I've watched that one. I've heard about it.
I feel like anime,
and now it's My Hero. Right.
I feel like anime too, like there's certain people that are like hardcore anime fans, and then like we said before, there's like more casual fans. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but you can have levels too. And since it's way more accepting, like way more, if you tell somebody I like anime, they'll be like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, or even cosplay. I remember that when I used to talk about cosplaying, it used to be like, what is that? Like, you go to a convention, you dress up. Oh, cool, I guess. But now when you say cosplay, like, people know what you're talking about. You don't really have to explain it anymore. So that's also changed, for sure.
I feel like I had to used to, like, explain conventions to people. And it was always so awkward. Like,
yeah.
You're like, how do you explain?
They're just, we dress up and we go to...
Now if you say I'm going to convention, like nobody bats an eye. They're like,
I'm going to Anime Expo. They know what that is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And and then you even got positive remarks. You're like, wow, like I've never been to convention. How is that?
Yeah.
Would you recommend it?
Oh, you're so lucky. And I'm like,
yeah.
All right, our audio cut out.
Yeah, so. We're back. Sorry about that.
Okay, summation of everything.
So, I still think geek is a term that's not used very much anymore. I think nerd kind of encompasses everything. And I think it's cool that nerd culture is more mainstream, so people can enjoy it without shame.
So, how should we end this?
I don't know. I hope we do post this one. I'm kind of interested in what the audience has to add to this.
Me too.
I really want this to be like an open conversation because I could literally talk about this for like another hour. I don't know why it's so interesting.
So for those of you guys that are listening, if we post this or not post this, we're kind of just testing our podcast. So we have a couple of them that we've already recorded that we haven't posted yet. So this may or may not be one that we post. But I really like this conversation too. So I think this might be the one that we post.
Like weigh in. If you are a person of color, did that affect you, and whether or not you labeled yourself as a nerd, showed yourself as a nerd? Do you even label yourself as a nerd? And what is your guys' opinion on like nerd culture and how popularized it got within the last 5-10 years?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you guys for listening. If we post this, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Subscribe and do all the things.
And support us so we can talk more to each other. All right. This is the 3 Ps. What is our name?
3 Ps in
a podcast, and we'll be back next week. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.